Maryland sports fans, there's only one sports book in the great state of Maryland with over 50 years experience booking bets and supporting customers. Betfred Sportsbook at Longshots is now open and is the only sportsbook in Frederick offering cash betting on football, basketball, world soccer, and more. Visit the Betfred Sportsbook at I-270 and MD-85 in Frederick, right next to Longshots off-track betting. Go to BetfredSports.com for more information and your chance to win exclusive merchandise. Must be 21 or older. Play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Stop! Yeah! And if you don't like it, you better take your ass up to the snooty box, because this is the loud spot! Okay, see you later.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loud Spot. I'm your host, Sebastian Cosme. Tonight we kind of have a different show. We're not going to play so much music. We have a couple bands, at least one band I do want to play. We got a very good friend of mine, Joe Angus, on the show tonight because we got to tell a funny story. But I do want to let everybody know that this may not be the most musical of podcasts tonight, but we do have coming up for October. Well, first of all, we have Kindly Shut Up next weekend, and then in October, if everything works out right, it looks like we're going to have Lords of Salem, we're going to have Grave Huffer, a band called Catapult out of Switzerland, and Lords of Salem is out of Germany. We have Ghost Town Rebellion, we have Redefined, which those guys are awesome. We have Nothing Short of Tragic. We're going to try to get Begotten on the show. And there's a few other bands we're going to try to get in the mix. So, anyways, what's up, Joe?
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. So, I wanted you on the show tonight. We normally do our shows only on Sundays and Wednesdays. But I did want to do one tonight because we were on the phone the other day. And you got to start from the very beginning of this whole entire story. Let me set the environment. We have a friend that we've known since high school that is still friends with all of us. And
right.
We'll let Joe go ahead and take it from there, buddy.
So you always have that friend, right? You have one of those friends that just hangs out. He's a homie. He's like one of those good guys who got your back all the time. He's a great dude.
Yes.
And one of those lifers. You always be friends with that guy no matter what.
Sure.
And for us, I think of all the group of friends we had in high school and so that, like Dale was one of those guys, right?
Oh yeah, we all still hang out, yeah, for sure.
But the thing that was great about Dale, right, is that he was very stubborn, very particular, very like headstrong in his own way,
Uh-huh.
And then he always would kind of do like these weird things, like his decision making sometimes wasn't like optimal. Situations, right? And it was just a Dale thing. You just be like, well, you know what? That's Dale.
That's Dale.
So, anyways,
we used to throw with me and Steve Stokes. There was a little bird that stood on top of the the Rayleigh supermarket, and we would throw rocks at it, and the bird wouldn't move, and so we called it the Dale bird because I just didn't give a shit. You know what I'm saying?
Give a shit, right? That was like Dale, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Dale never gave a shit. Okay, so he winds up calling you randomly. Now Dale lives in the Bay Area, okay, in California.
Yeah.
Dale lives in Seattle. He randomly calls you. Does he even let you know he's going to Seattle, or he just randomly calls you and is like, "Hey, I'm in Seattle. Come hang out."
Yeah, no. So I'm in Seattle, right? And I talked to him like maybe once. Last time I talked to him was like a couple years ago, and that was kind of a little off the charts too. Like,
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that when you get together with him, you just gotta kind of buckle up because you're just not sure what to expect.
Yeah, he applied for an interview. He applied for an interview one time. He was here in Oklahoma City with me, and they're like, he's like, "Do I have the job?" After the phone interview, they're like, "Well, we don't know." He goes, "Well, why the fuck don't you know?" like hire me. Like, I was like, "Dad, you can't. No one's gonna hire you with that kind of attitude, bro."
Yeah. I like that attitude. Why not, man?
Why not? I'm qualified.
Why not?
I went to school for physics. I'm good.
Okay, let's run it back right now. Let's run it back. 30 more minutes. I got some time. Yeah, so anyways, he showed up here. So what happened was he just called me one night. I think it was like a Monday night or something, Tuesday night. I'm working from home, so, like at the end of the night, I'm just kind of chilling. And I get this call from Dale. And Dale's like, hey, Joe, I just want to reach out to you, man. I'm just, want to see, like, what you're up to. And he said, it just so happens that I'm coming through Seattle, like, right now. And I was like, oh, cool. He's like, yeah, I was wondering maybe if, like, I could stop by and like, spend the night or some of that. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. He's like, well, I mean, just right now because I have, like, my friend with me, right? And so when he said he had his friend with me, right. I was like, oh, I better backpedal a little bit because I got to check with Charlotte. I got to make sure, like, everything's okay. So I was like, I don't know this friend. Do I know him? He's like, no, you don't know him. But he's a really cool guy. And I was like, I've seen Dale's friends. I know I can hang out with. So I was like, you know what, man? I said, how about this? Like, maybe check and see if you can get another, like, some other kind of accommodations, like, set. And then give me a call back if like, the last, like, chance. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have anything else, call me, we'll work something out. I'll give you some money for a hotel or something, right? So it turned out he was okay. He calls me back later. He's like, yeah, I don't want to intrude or anything like that. And I was like, it's okay, fine. Dale. It's okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not intruding, but you just can't probably stay here tonight. So I was like, why don't we do this? Why don't we hang out tomorrow night? And I'll meet you somewhere like in downtown in Seattle, and I'll take you guys out to lunch or something or dinner. Yeah. So that's what we ended up doing, right? So the next day comes, and I'm working. I got a lot of stuff to do, and I'm just kind of butt plugging away. And then all of a sudden I get this like text message from Dale. Dale's like, hey, man, we're going to hang out? And I was like, sure, okay. And it's been a long time.
You got to see him. If a friend from high school comes around, you got to see him.
Especially a homie, right? You can't let homie down, right? You got to go meet him, right?
That'd be like me calling you and you not showing up. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I thought we were friends.
Right, exactly. So I'm sitting there. It's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock when I get done with work. And I'm just like, I got to go meet him, right? And the last couple times, like Dale's had some crazy stories. He had some guy try to kill him in Arizona that was a friend he had. I've met some of his other friends. These guys are like, I don't know where he gets these guys,
he had a roommate in the Bay Area that tried to kill him because he actually did. I guess the roommate was like selling acid, and Dale didn't know what it was, so he like threw it away. And this guy's like, you threw away my acid. And Dale's like, I just threw away all this foil or whatever the fuck it was. And I'm like, so Dale had to like move out because the guy was going to kill him for like throwing away his
I was going to kill him.
I guess the guy was a dealer. Dale didn't know.
Dale doesn't. See, that's the thing. Dale doesn't know. He really doesn't know. He's a good guy. He just doesn't get it sometimes, right?
Right.
So
so you meet him at Applebee's.
Yeah. So it's okay. So he says, hey man, he's like, I said, where are you at? And he says, Joe, I'm at this place called Sidelines in Bellevue. And so, just for your information, right, Bellevue's actually a really nice area of Seattle. Right? I was like, oh, you're in Bellevue. That's good. That's nice. Okay, cool. So you're in a good area of Bellevue. The Seattle, like, we're I'll meet you at Sidelines. And I told Charlotte, I was like, hey, Char, you want to go to Bellevue? And she's like, sure, I love Bellevue, right? I'm like, okay, great. And I said, I told Charlotte, I said, be careful. I said, this guy, we're going to go meet. He's a good friend of mine, but you're coming. You're my safety, okay? Because
you know Dale and his friends.
Yeah. I was like, this Dale's got a buddy with them. I don't know the buddy, right? I just want, and I also like just want you to come because maybe I might invite him over to spend the night. And I just want to get your okay on it.
Depends on how the night's going.
Depends on how the night's going, right? So, and I said, Charlotte, also if you're there with me, you can pull me away, so I don't have to be out all night, and get in trouble or anything like that. So, anyways, we go down, we meet him in Bellevue, we meet him at Applebee's, right? And I pull up, and I have, like, my Corvette, right? So I'm just, like, pull up on the side. I'm kind of like, I just want to kind of get in, like, kind of incognito. I pull up, and I park on the side, like, kind of away from the restaurant, and I walk in, because I don't want, like, them to bring it up or make it a deal or, I want to be like, and part of the reason I took the vet, too, was, like, I was like, if these guys want to come back to my place, they can Uber back. They don't have to drive with them, right. I'm kind of thinking ahead, right?
So everyone knows you're always like, you're like 2 or 3 steps ahead. Like unlike me, like I'm on a whim. You actually like formulate a plan in your head of like all the possibilities of things that could happen and go wrong.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And that's why this whole situation like took me by surprise so much, right? So when we get into Applebee's, we walk into Applebee's, and right away, man, I look across the bar, and there's probably about 30 people in Applebee's, and you can pick out Dale right away. You walk in there, you can pick out Dale and his friend right away, and it's like these two drunk ass motherfuckers that are sitting in the bar, right? And Dale gets up, and I'm like, I said, Charlotte, I was like, you know what? 20 minutes. 20 minutes. That's it. 20 minutes. Yeah. We're gonna have a drink,
and that's out.
Right. But so I walk up, right, and I see Dale and Dale's friend there, and they're actually like nice guys, right? They're nice. Dale's drunk though, and they're both drunk. Actually, they're both really drunk,
like hammered.
And so Dale gets up, and he's like, "Hey, homie, what's up?" And he comes and gives me a big hug, and I'm like, I get all red. I'm like, "Oh, Dale, good to see you, man." And I meet his friend, and his friend, he's like, "Hey, this is my friend, Chris or something like that, right?" And I'm like, oh, cool. He's like, hey, just to let you know, this guy's like the most dangerous guy you'd ever meet. The most dangerous dude. And so I'm like, oh, okay. And so
definitely not staying the night at my house.
Yeah, knowing Dale.
You don't believe with that. You don't lead with that. You lead with, hey, can I stay the night at your house? I got the most awesome, nicest friend around, You don't go, hey, can I stay the night at your house? And you never met my friend before. By the way, he's the most dangerous dude in the world. Like, oh yeah, come stay now, me and my fiance. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I'm like right away, the alarm bells are going off, right? I'm sitting there, oh, okay, Chris dude doesn't seem like he's the most dangerous dude, but because I know Dale, right. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna, and then Dale starts talking about fighting, right? He's like, hey, Joe, you do jiu-jitsu still, right? I'm like, yeah, I haven't done it for a while because of COVID, He's like, well, just to let you know, like, Chris, this guy, Joe, he could tie you in a knot. Like, he could beat you up. But it means you're still the most dangerous guy I know. And I'm like...
Oh, so he's trying to, like, get you guys to wrestle. So, well, you're at Applebee's, though. Go ahead. Applebee's.
I'm like, Dale, like, no one wants to fight. No one wants to... I just want to sit here and have a drink and talk and, like, hang out, reminisce maybe, but... I don't want to get in a fight. I don't want to touch anybody. And they're also, the other thing Dale gets when he gets drunk is he gets touchy, right? So he's like putting, he grabs you, he hugs you, he puts his arm around you, all that stuff. It's like, dude, it's COVID, bro. It's like, that's not what should be happening right now. So anyways, we sit down. I say, hey, man, let me get a round of drinks for everybody. Get some beers. I get some, And his friend Chris right away wants to start taking shots, right? He's like, oh, good. Joe's going to pay for drinks. Oh, let's take some shots. And I'm like, no. We're going to do beer, okay? Yeah. You get a beer, right. You get a beer, I get a beer, and Shara gets whatever she wants, right? Right. So I ordered drinks, and Dale all of a sudden said, hey, Joe, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you a story, but it's really emotional. I got to tell you outside, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So right away, while our drinks are coming, like our drinks haven't even come yet.
You go outside,
so
Dale.
He takes me outside, and he takes me around the corner, and he starts pulling his pants down. And I'm like, dude. I was like, that is,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, I mean, like, I could just see like someone from work like rolling by, and I'm walking out with this guy.
That guy was Halloween with his pants down. What are you doing? What are you doing, Joe? I seen you outside Applebee's with some dude with his pants down.
So he starts pulling his pants down, and he's like, hey, so dude, I got shot, and I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I got shot, like. Someone just like ran outside. So he said someone just ran outside a Subway and shot me. And so he pulls down his pants, right? Mm-hmm. And he's got like a bullet like grazed him on his leg, on his left leg. And then he or his right, like his left leg. And then he pulls his, he's got his pants down. He's trying to pull down his drawers. So I'm just like, come on, just a little bit, not too much. And he pulls down his butt, right? He has this big bandage on his butt. And I'm like, oh, man. Like, kind of butt bandage you get, like, at CVS or something like that, right?
Yeah, one of those big patch ones.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, yeah, I got shot in the butt, too. And he's like, oh. He's like, I said, well, what happened, Dale? And he's like, well, I just got a Subway sandwich, and I got in my car, and then I was just hanging out in my car starting to eat my Subway sandwich, and this gato, he, like, runs up, and he starts, like, he says, hey, you, and he goes, pop, pop, pop. He said, I could hear. I knew what kind of gun it was. Like, I don't know much about guns.
Right.
I don't even remember what he told me what kind of gun. It was like a 45 or something like that.
Right.
So he said, yeah. This guy started shooting, and after I heard the first couple shots, it was like I was in Iraq again. And he's like, I just started taking off and got out of there. And I said, shit. I said, do you know why the guys attacked you? And he's like, no. He's like, it happened in Walnut Creek. And I was like, dude, this is like, I did not believe him at first. But what happened was this guy, he's like, all of a sudden he's like, yeah, man, let me show you some of this video. And he has a video going up to the car, and he's got 8 bullet holes in the car, in like his little sedan. And then he's got like blood stains where it like went into his butt.
Okay, but knowing Dale, he might have pissed somebody off.
I know, but yeah, I mean, I asked him so many times, dude. I was like, so exactly like, who's this guy? Do you know this guy? Did you talk to this guy? No, man, I don't even know who he was. Just a random dude ran out of the subway and was like, hey, you with the foot long. Pop, 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 pop. And I was like, dude, where are you hanging out, man? So, I don't know. I had so many questions. But then he tells me, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I said, did you at least go to the hospital? He's like, yeah, I went to the hospital. Okay. But the bullet's still in there. And I was like, well, what doctor did you go to that didn't remove the fucking bullet? When he got shot in the butt, he's like, yeah, he's like, when I walk, I can feel it.
He's all happy about it. He's all like, yeah. Okay, so when you're outside, though, the whole time you're outside talking to Dale, you're keeping an eye inside of what's going on because Dale's friend is not touching your girlfriend.
That's right. So my girl, Shar, right, she's in the restaurant, and she's with his friend. And his friend is very, like, he's drunk, and he's being, like, kind of touchy-feely, right? So he's, like, trying to, like, touch. And I'm like, dude, what guy, he just comes over to have, like, drinks with you, and he brings his girl. What kind of doofus starts, like touching that girl? Like, who does that stuff, That'd be so weird if I was, like, doing that at Stacia. If all of a sudden you're like, hey, Joe, here's my wife, Stacia, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, Stacia, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Oh, I like your fingers, I like, let's talk in, Tagalog or something. I don't know. Right. So I said, hey, Dale, I said, I like looking at bullet wounds, but we got to go in and check on this little party that's, happening. And we get in, and Chris, the guy that was sitting with Charlotte, right? He's just got her, like, hand. He's like, talking to her, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, I'm sorry. And Charlotte's just like, she's like surprised. She's shocked. She's like, yeah, like, I don't know who these friends are. I know they're your friends. I'm trying to be respectful, but yeah.
Yeah.
And
how weird, man. How weird.
So weird. So we sit down, we start talking again. We start, just kind of joshing. And Charlotte's not drinking the sangria I bought her. I bought her this big, like, Applebee's, little, like, chalice full of sangria. And she's not drinking it. So I'm looking at her, and so she texts me. She texts me. She said, hey, Joe, in the text, right? She's not going to say it out loud. She's like, hey, man, or hey, Joe. She said, I can't drink it because this guy just drank out of the drink when you left. Started drinking out of it. And she said, I don't really want to drink out of it after he drank out of it.
Plus, it's gross. Even if it wasn't like coronavirus, it's still gross. Just some random dude drinks out of your drink, you just don't want it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. So I'm like, okay. I was like, that's cool. So I basically take the drink from her and I give it to Dale, right?
Yeah.
And Dale takes the drink and he's looking at it and he's like, oh, good. And then Chris sees the drink leave that vicinity of Charlotte, right? And go to Dale. And then they start fighting over the drink. And Chris is like, no, give that to me. And Dale's like, no, I got it. And it's like, I was like, you need a couple of motherfucking alcoholics, okay? You guys are fighting over Applebee's sangria. So anyway.
Oh my God.
So I'm kind of thinking about this. I'm like, oh God, this is bad. How do I get out of this situation, And I'm thinking, you know what I'm going to do? So I think, you know what? The best way to solve a problem at Applebee's is with an appetizer.
Yes.
So I said,
I guess. I mean, yes, yeah.
So Chris and Dale are starting to fight over the sangria, and I'm like, oh God. So I tell the waiter, I'm like, hey waiter, can you get me like an appetizer? Right? We start plugging it into that little at Applebee's they have that little menu on the side of the table.
Were you guys sitting at the bar, or were you sitting at a table?
Table. Okay. Table right by the bar.
Okay.
So anyways, yeah. So Dale and Chris are in the meantime. They're kind of fighting over this bottle, this glass of sangria, and Dale's got it behind his back, and he's trying to like guard it. And then this motherfucker, he drops the sangria, drops it, spills everywhere. Oh. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, dude, you just dropped like a $12 glass of sangria. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys?
How are they fighting for? Like taking turns trying to like grab it from each other's hands?
Yeah, it was like Chris was like, oh, give it to me. And he's reaching across the table, and then Dale's like, no. And then Chris kind of walks around the table, and they start kind of trying to like jostle for it.
Oh my
like
God.
Almost like standing up, and they're reaching and playing. I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was awkward. They're both drunk, right?
Right.
And I was like, you guys are just kind of being immature. Like I'm not really like in the mood for this, right? but I was like, you know what? I love Dale, and I'll put up with this for a little bit because I only see him like once every couple of years, right?
Yeah,
once every year.
for sure.
So I have the appetizer ordered, and it falls, and the look on their faces when it fell was like, oh no, how did we drop the alcohol, right? So I'm like, hey guys, you know what? Let's just go clean this up. Chris has got like sangria in his pants. Dale's got sangria in his pants. I'm just like, hey guys, let's go clean this up. So Chris actually goes to the bathroom, right?
Uh-huh.
And when he's at the bathroom, I talk to Charlotte. I'm like, Charlotte, I'm sorry. And I said, Dale, you got to control your friend. Yeah. I was like, hey, I don't
control the most dangerous guy in the world while you're at it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what Dale keeps telling me. He's like, oh man, but he said he's like, yeah, he's like, I know, he's a really cool guy, and I really love him, but man, yeah, he's dangerous, Joe. He's really dangerous.
Why were they even in Seattle? Like, you said they were going backpacking?
Oh, so this is what it is. Dale wants to go full hobo. He wants to go. He's working from home. Right?
But if you go full hobo, there's no Wi-Fi. Like,
I don't know how he's working this out. So I didn't ask him any questions. That's the other thing when you talk to Dale. You only ask so many questions until you just don't want to. You don't want to ask anymore.
Like, whatever,
I don't really want to open this door. You know?
Right. Pandora's box.
That Pandora's box. So what he said he was doing is he's going to travel to the Great Lakes, and he said he has a tent, and then him and Chris are just hanging out, sleeping in a tent all the way through Seattle, and then they're going to go to Great Lakes.
That's so weird. I mean, at like 38 years old, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
I wonder why he's never been married. I don't even know if he's ever had a girlfriend. I think he's had a couple girlfriends.
He had some. I know he had crushes on girls because he used to tell me about like his crushes.
Yeah, no, he's not gay. No, I know that. And even if he was, that's fine. We're not gonna hate you, Dale.
We don't mind. Yeah,
we still love you. We're still friends with Steve Stokes.
I know.
Who knows about that guy?
So anyway, I talked to Dale. I'm just like, hey Dale, I was like, just kind of calm your friend down. I said, and we kind of touched base. And Dale actually tells me, he's like, man, it's been. He said, I'm working from home. I'm trying to do this whole remote thing. I get on the computer every day. I work from like 8 to 5. I'm coding. I said, what do you do? He says, I code. It's like, I don't know. That's some generic term for just computer work that he does, right?
Right.
And then he's like, and I got a tent, and we are just, we decided, just spur of the moment, which is like every Dale decision, right?
Right.
Spur of the moment, we're going to just travel across the country up to Seattle.
With probably no money.
He tells me that too. So this is the thing. When I order the appetizer, Dale gives me this look, and he's like, I don't know if we should get an appetizer. And I'm like, I got the appetizer. He's like, well, thanks, man, because, he's like, thanks, dude, because I'm broke. And I was like,
you're broke, but you obviously have a vehicle, right? So you got to pay for gas. You have to a place to stay, I guess, when you get to Michigan or where, right? Where they going?
Yeah, Michigan, the Great Lakes, right?
I mean, so they're just going to set up a tent somewhere and like go full hobo. Okay. So anyway, so go back to you're the appetizers, right? And the food gets there, and you were saying how like they just devoured it, dude, in like seconds.
Yeah, man, that was the most voracious. Like when that appetizer hit the table, I immediately I was kind of hungry, right? I grabbed like a piece of chicken, a cheese stick, and a quesadilla. Like it comes. There's like it's enough for like 5 people, right?
Right.
Whatever. Charlotte grabbed a couple chips, right? They just launched on this appetizer. Like they hadn't eaten in a couple days, right? They threw that, they attacked that appetizer. And I mean, I was watching it and it was like, oh my God, you guys relax. This isn't going anywhere. It's not running away.
The Last Supper right here.
Not the Last Supper, right? So these guys are just chomping and munching down on this appetizer, and then all of a sudden it's like Chris gets he's like, hey man, he's like, I want to get another beer, and he tries to order another beer. He's like, another round of drinks, right? Yeah. And the waiter comes up, and the waiter's like, well, you know what, I can get these 2 people. He points to Charlotte and me, right? Another. But he said, I can't serve you. You guys are done. And Chris is like, what do you mean I'm done? I'm like, no, you need to serve me more alcohol. I'm not done until I say I'm done. And they're like, actually, no, we can determine if we want to serve you or not, sir. Please, control yourselves. And, and then he says, says, no, I'm not drunk. And the waiter tells us, says, you just walked into the kitchen like 2 minutes ago.
He walked into the kitchen?
And you thought you were in the bathroom. We should have kicked you out like 5 minutes ago. He said, so you're not drinking anymore. And I was like, this
God.
Shut up. God. And he went into the bathroom into the kitchen to go to the bathroom. Instead of the bathroom. And I'm like, dude, I don't even want to know.
Oh my God. Okay, so you and Charlotte decide at a certain point after. Now we're gonna break this down real quick because I gotta play a song. But you guys decide to. Didn't they give you another beer, and didn't they fight over that beer also?
Oh, no. So I was drinking my beer kind of slow, right? So I probably, by the time they had finished the appetizer, my first beer, I'd only drank like maybe 3/4 of it, right? Okay. Or 2/3 of it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, the waiter just comes, and he's just berated Chris, and he's just told him, hey, no, you're not drinking anymore. You know, we should have kicked you out. You just walked into our kitchen. You can't do that, right? And then Dale's just kind of sitting there like, oh, you're so bad. You're so bad. He's like, and Dale starts telling Chris, he's like, oh, I want to fight you, Chris. I can't wait to fight you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to wrestle you. You've been so bad. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Dale? God damn it, this is so weird. Like, just the noise that come in. And then, so Chris is like saying, like, he's like, hey, man, he's like, I still need to have a drink. He's really upset. And then the waiter, the manager comes. The manager tells Chris to calm down. And then I'm like, okay. I start trying to, like, calm down. I'm trying to have a conversation.
Right.
And then when the waiter and manager leave, right, Chris reaches across the table and grabs my beer. And he starts drinking my beer. And I'm like... So that's when I got my card out. I was like, okay, let me pay for this shit. So I paid for the dinner. I paid for everything, right, all the drinks. And I said, you know what, guys, I got to head out. I got work in the morning,
Hold on. So hold on. We're gonna go with this real quick. We're gonna go with you say you have to head out because you have to work in the morning, right?
Right.
I'm gonna drop one song, and then we're gonna start off with you decide you have to tab out and go to work in the morning. Okay. So this band, we got this one band's going to be featured on this episode. It's not a metal band. It is a kind of a pop punk band. I love their name. They're called When Whales Walked, which is a super cool name. I've been wanting to play them for a long time, but we never really had the chance to, and I don't know that I will anytime soon. So I want to promote their music right now. This is When Whales Walked, and this song is called Mom and Dad. Check it out.
Going pretty sour. I think that I've lost all my power. I need to stay alive. Just give me one last night. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I know this isn't what you had in mind for me. I've never been so scared. I feel so unprepared. Growing up and losing all my fights. I lay it on the line tonight. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I know this isn't what you had in mind for me. Let's go! So sorry, Mom. And I'm sorry, so sorry, Dad. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I know this isn't what you had in mind for me.
All right, so that was When Wheels Walked, Mom and Dad. I would like to thank, I believe his name is Andrew Gonzalez, for sending me that, and that song is dope. It reminds me of kind of like an old school Blink-182, like when they first started, you know? So, on our show tonight, on this story, and that's the only song we're playing tonight. Okay, so Dale, hey, did you like that song though?
I did, actually. That was a good song.
Yeah,
it reminded me of
it was a good song. Yeah, I knew you'd probably like it, that's why I played it. Okay, so everyone needs to go and download their music. When Whales Walked, super cool name. Also, I love that name. Okay.
Yeah, by the way, where can I go download that?
Yeah, I think they're on iTunes. I think they're on Spotify. Maybe not though. I'll get with Andrew and I'll promote them on a promo like on my Facebook page. Because
that'd be awesome.
I have so many bands sending me things right now that I kind of forget where everything's going like to and from. Because we're growing like super, super fast and crazy. So,
yeah. No, Charlotte was just listening to that. She was like, I like that too.
Yeah, good. Okay, so you guys are now, you get your check-in out because we got 13 minutes left, okay?
Yeah.
So I know 45 minutes goes by fast, yeah. So,
yeah.
You go to Albee's now. You decide after they fight over your beer, or like guy Chris takes your beer, and you and Charlotte decide that you do not want them to know where your car is, so you go across the street to a KFC instead.
Yeah, that's right. So what happened, right? Like I told you, I brought the bet, and I was like, I don't want them to kind of like, you just don't want a couple drunk people like messing around with like your car, and stuff. I didn't want like it to be a scene, and I really just want to kind of like end that whole experience right there. Uh-huh. So as we're leaving the Applebee's, right, we're walking out of there. I grabbed Charlotte and I'm like, hey, let's not walk towards the car. Because they followed us. They were like, oh, we're gonna leave too, right? So we all get up and leave at the same time. And I said, hey, let's walk over to KFC, or the QFC, actually. It's called QFC. It's a supermarket out here in Seattle. Uh-huh. I said, let's walk over to QFC, and, we'll just go this way and let them go that way.
Right.
And so she's like, okay, that's great. I want to get some airborne anyways because, these people have been, like, touching me, probably should go get some of this, like, preventative medicine. I was like, sure, okay, that sounds great. So I'm sitting there, right? I'm watching these guys, and as Dale's walking out with Chris, right? Uh-huh. He starts it's like they started like wrestling with each other. Like they're kind of like at first it's just like they're pushing each other, right? And so I'm like, God, damn, this. And
they're the Applebee's. The first time I met Dale, he was getting into a fight with Robert. So that's how I met Dale. So yeah. That was like in 9th grade, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So they're outside in the Applebee's parking lot,
right?
Looking like hobos, right? They look homeless.
Right? Just hobos, right? In Seattle, we make hobos. Like, we know hobos out here in Seattle, right?
Right.
You do not know hobos until you've been to Seattle or Portland, then you see them everywhere. Okay. It's like a homeless. So, like, basically, I walk over to QFC, and I'm walking out of the QFC, and I'm standing there, and I said, Charlotte, I didn't bring my mask, right? Like, I left it in the restaurant. Uh-huh. So I just stayed in the QFC, and I got these two guys, these two homeless people are actually standing outside of QFC. These two people are, like, begging for money, Yeah. And they're just quiet. They put their sign, says, hey, I'm going through hard times,
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, I'm reaching in my pants looking for some change. And they're just kind of like, I'm looking across as I'm standing outside with these two homeless people. I'm kind of looking outside, looking at Dale and his friend as they're walking across, and it starts to like kind of push each other. Then all of a sudden, it's like they just start hugging each other, like they're hugging, like they're trying to wrestle each other, but they're not really getting anything. And no one's going to the ground. They're just kind of hugging each other, and they're wrestling. And I'm just like, and so the homeless guy that's at the QFC, right? He like asked me, said, "Hey," he's like, "Do you know them?" And I look at him, and I'm kind of reaching my pants for some like change, some quarters, and I pull out some quarters, and I'm like, and he said, "Yes, I know them. I went to high school with one of them."
So you got the homeless guy judging you,
yeah,
for being friends with them.
Yeah. And he looks at me, and he's like, "Well," and these guys, Chris and Dale, are just like hugging each other in the parking lot, and they're kind of falling
hugging / wrestling. Like, who knows what they're doing?
Like, I don't know. Like it's getting like very like a love fest here. And so I'm just like watching them, and then he says, the homeless guy turns to me, he says, "Well," he's like, "Yeah, those guys really like each other." I give him some change, and I'm like, "Yeah," it's like, "Yeah, they definitely
so the homeless
do."
guy looks at you and says, "So those guys really like each other?" Like,
we like each other, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so did they wind up eventually leaving, like, the parking lot? Because I know Dale. He'll sit there and wrestle in the parking lot for like an hour.
Dude, that's what he was doing. They wrestled for like maybe 15 minutes, and I walked around, I grabbed the bed, and I pulled the bed out, and I went and picked Charlotte up.
And
then when we were driving outside the parking lot, like driving away, they're just wrestling in the parking lot. Like in the middle of the parking lot. They're just wrestling on top of each other, like wrestling, fighting each other. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea what's going on there. So I just took off, and I was just sitting there.
Have you talked to Dale since?
I did. I texted him I texted him like the next day, and I said, "Hey man," I said, "How's everything going?" He's like, I said, "What are you up to?" And he's like, "I'm just working." Just working? Like, where are you getting the Wi-Fi? He's like, I got a hotspot on my phone.
Oh, so he's on his way to Michigan with a bunch of bullet holes in his car, and he has Wi-Fi.
A bullet in his butt. I'm like, dude, at least take care of the bullet in your butt, you know?
Like, you think he feels it when he's taking a shit? Like, he feels the bullet hanging there?
Like, I like it.
Stuck inside? That's so weird. Because, like, I don't think there's any dangerous spot in your ass to, like, get a bullet stuck. Like, there's no, like, is there, like, any, I mean, you're the scientist, you should know. Is there any, like, veins or anything like that, like, in your buttocks area that would, make it impossible to pull out? There is?
Well, you get a lot of fat and muscle in your glute. So, if you went to a doctor, the doctor would pull it out. I don't know if you went to a doctor. See, that's the thing. There's a lot of question marks, right? The mystery of Dale. It's like, I'm not really sure. But the thing is the sad thing about Dale, right, is it's like when I go hang out with him, right, we have to go have a drink. And when he has a drink, that's when he gets like, he gets over the top.
One time he was at my house hanging out in Oklahoma City, and like it was like 2:30, 3 in the morning. We had to quit drinking already for like an hour because I was already drunk. I was like, I had time to go to sleep. And I had my kids there and stuff. He comes knocking on the door like at 3 in the morning, asking if there's any more beer in the house. I was like, no, we drank all the beer. Go to sleep, dude. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just woke me up. I got my daughter sleeping in the room. I got my wife in the room. My ex-wife. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, stop. There's like no filter for it. But look, Dale, if you hear this, we love you as a friend. We do. We know you.
As a friend, man.
You are our brother. But we like to just, we like to roast when we can. So, and this is too good of a story to pass up.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? So
I know what you mean. And the last couple of times, like the last time I had him out here, I had him stay at my place. And the thing is like it's just he has to get up. If he's staying at your place, you ever have a friend that says, "Hey man, if I'm staying at your place, can I get up and go outside like every 2 hours and have a cigarette?" It's like no. Once you're over, I lock the doors.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine, dude. Like if someone's staying out of my house. Once I lock the doors, I don't need you going in and out of my house.
Right.
Like, stay inside, go to sleep, because I literally, absolutely hate when people come over and stay the night, and then they are in and out all night. Like, I'll kick them out.
Yeah.
I'll lock them the fuck out of my house, dude. Bye.
Well, last time Dale came over, man, he went to go have a cigarette, and I live in an apartment complex, right? So it's like when you go out, you have to have a yard key to get back in. So he went out to go have a cigarette, and it was like the winter time, right? So it's freezing cold, right? In Seattle at the time, like it was probably like February, March or something like that, but it was really cold. And so this guy, he goes outside at like 4 a.m. to go have a cigarette. And then he's like, he can't get back in. So he's calling me. And I saw the messages, but I was so tired. I sleep. So it's like,
you saw him. You're dead.
Goes off. If it's like not my time to wake up, I'm like, I'm ignoring, right? Unless it's emergency. And he was texting me and all that stuff. And that guy like almost froze to death outside. We had a little apartment complex. We had like a clubhouse, right? He was like curled up in one of the clubhouse like little benches, and he had like his shirt like wrapped up and all that stuff. 7 in the morning, and I was like, "Oh shit, Dale's locked outside." I came out.
What was he doing?
Locked outside for like 3 hours, man.
What's he doing? What's he doing? Waking up at 4 a.m. to go smoke a cigarette.
You know what? I don't know, man. That's the thing. That's Dale. Dale, he likes to smoke and he likes to drink, and it's like But if he doesn't, if you're hanging out with him and he doesn't, he's sober, he's not smoking. Dude,
yeah, there's like 2 different Dales almost, right?
Yeah,
well,
it's like
we love Dale, and he's turning out a little bit like his dad, I think, and he hated his dad. Like he's not,
I think so.
He's not like he's kind of, but his dad didn't really smoke. I don't remember him smoking anyways or drinking. But Joe, dude, it's been super fun having you on the show. Joe, I've known Joe for a very, very, very long time. We were roommates when he was going to college at UC Davis. We got all kinds of stories about that we could say, but we're not going to right now. But we had some fun time. Joe and I do some business stuff together as well, so we're in communications all the time. He's a great storyteller. That's why I wanted him to do this podcast tonight. And you got anything else, Joe? That band When Whales Walked is pretty cool. I really wanted to play a couple more, but that story's so interesting. And we only got 45 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Hey, what do you think about the podcast?
Oh, dude, I love this podcast. Actually, that's the thing. I think this is like such a great opportunity for bands to get heard. And I like listening to music. I know you've always been like heart to heart with punk and rock, and like that throughout your whole life. That's really like what you live and breathe, you know.
And I'm good at talking. That's all I do.
You're good at talking, man. But I love listening to some of these bands. You know, it's like you don't get the bandwidth for some of these bands, and they don't get a chance to get heard. No. I mean, like that we heard tonight. You know, that was great. I really enjoyed that. Dude, that's what I think great about the podcast too. And I do think it's interesting. Some of the people you bring on, some of the characters, kind of interesting.
You know, and we range from like death metal to, I wouldn't even say, I'd say that band was pop punk at first. I don't really say the pop. I kind of just say like they're like a Blink-182 punk, which when Blink-182 started, they were not pop punk like they turned out to be later on. Yeah. They have that punk edge still, but like we play thrash. So we have we're booked up, dude. Like this whole month, we got all kinds of interviews. So I'm super excited about that. I'm really excited for like every single one of these episodes. And the music ranges from Eric Bonilla is going to be on here because he has his band Nothing Short of Tragic, dude.
Oh, I saw Eric on Facebook. He actually is friends with a friend of mine from Genentech. I didn't know.
He's moving to Colorado.
Oh, is he?
Yep. And I think he's going to be here because we're only about 7 hours away, I think. 7 to 9 hours away. I think he's going to be here on October 25th to do his band's show. Because he's not a one-man band. He still keeps the name, but it's all just him now. You know, he writes all the music for it, and so that'd be very interesting.
He'd be an interesting guy to interview, too. I mean, that guy's funny. A character.
He's funny. He has his own YouTube channel called On the Couch with Eric Brown. It's pretty funny.
I see it, too. He's got a talent for that. He's one of the funniest guys. It's like he doesn't mean to be funny. He actually does mean to be funny. He's got that comedic talent. He sent me
an email saying, what does email say? Do I have time to say it? I think I do. Let me. I'm going to pause the podcast real quick so I can say what he said to me. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll pause this podcast, but we're not live, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. He says, I meant to send a picture of my penis, but the file was too small. But since we're dicking around anyway, here's a better version of the last song you paid for. And then he said, I had a threesome the other night, except 2 people didn't show up. And I said, And then he sent me another song, and then he put for labeling that, sending me one of his songs he put called Big Red. He put one last playful tickle of the balls. So I had a threesome, except 2 people didn't show up. I mean, that's classic, bro. That's classic. That's classic.
He's an entertaining guy. Like I would always enjoy hanging out with Eric just because.
I can't wait to get him on the show. And he actually wrote this outro song for me. That was an intro, now it's an outro. But here's this.
Yeah.
We gotta go, guys. Thanks for listening to The Loud Spot with Sebastian, Joe Angus. Awesome to have you tonight. I'm playing the song. Let's go.
Hey, thanks for having me.